much to discuss. Let's share some headlines. And Ole Miss gives Kiffin an ultimatum of the Egg Bowl to figure it all out. You heard that yesterday, of course, from Stuart Mandel. Well, there is a little bit of news on that today. Lane Kiffin goes on McAfee and says that's absolutely not true. What he left out is his commitment to Ole Miss. We'll get into that in great detail. So this is what we know. Close game Saturday in Oxford. Kiffin family members reportedly visit both Baton Rouge and Gainesville. We're talking about is Layla Kiffin, the mother of Kiffin's children. And the children, why exactly they had to visit both places, we are not sure, but apparently they did. And today, Kiffin chose a talk show to go to tonight as opposed to standing in front of his own media. We'll talk to one of those media members later. Zach Abolverdi from Gators Online joins us. Zach, good to see you again. Thanks for the time. So give us the version from Florida on the Kiffin sweepstakes.
Absolutely. Florida has had their sights set on Lane Kiffin. I think, as everyone knows by now, he's been a guy that I think checks a lot of the boxes that they're looking for in their next coach. And he's a guy that they've got a head start on. Obviously, Ole Miss has jumped into the sweepstakes as well. But Florida has done its homework on Lane. I think that they know, they understand the assignment, as I would say. And I think that they're coming with an aggressive approach, making sure that they're going to be able to meet his needs, because it's going to take the right situation for him to leave Oxford. But I think Florida presents that.
So, I mean, give us your best guess. And right now, I mean, if anybody knows for a fact, congratulations. I don't know if anybody does, but can you try to give us some context on why the family is doing this tour over the SEC, especially in Gainesville?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that when we think back to the last time that Lane Kiffin strongly considered leaving Oxford, it was for the Auburn job, and he ultimately decided not to go because of his daughter, Landry. I think this time around, his son, Knox, is going to factor heavily into his decision. He's got to figure out where his son's going to play quarterback if he's to leave Oxford. Right now, he's the starter at Oxford High School. He's got them in the playoffs. But if he comes to Gainesville or goes to Baton Rouge, I think he's going to want his son to be in a great situation. Now, fortunately for Florida, they've got something to offer in Buchholz High School, where Layla Kiffin graduated from. There's some connection there with the current head coach at Buchholz, Mark Whittemore. Believe it or not, Layla and Mark actually went to Buchholz together at the same time. So they've crossed paths, but I think that if he's going to consider any move, he's got to make sure that Layla and Knox are on board with it as well. And I think that's what we're seeing here.
Now, in terms of what and when, I realize you cover Florida. The when and ultimatum seems to be coming from Ole Miss. What do you know about that, if anything?
Yeah, well, obviously we know what Lane Kiffin said, and that he said that that's not true. However, I do think that there's going to have to be a point here in the near future, probably during the week of the Egg Bowl. I don't know if we'll find out before the game. I don't know if we'll find out soon after. But I think Lane Kiffin is going to have to come to a decision before he moves forward, before Ole Miss would want him to move forward with a potential playoff run. And I think certainly from Florida and now LSU, they need to get an answer on where he stands so that they can figure out what's next with their head coaching search. So I do think we're going to start to see some clarity coming in the weeks to follow.
So, if not Lane, what is, assuming there is one, a backup plan in Gainesville?
Yeah, that's certainly an interesting topic to think about. I'll be honest, it is Kiffin or bust in Gainesville. That's not to say that there's not another coach that can come to the University of Florida with the resources in the program that's here and win. But Kiffin is the one that the fan base and the boosters, and I think, to be honest, the players and maybe even the recruiting base wants to see in orange and blue. So it's important for Scott Strickland and everybody involved to get this done. Now, that being said, I reported this actually yesterday at Gators Online that Florida, although they've zeroed in on their target, they're still in search mode. They have other options that they're considering to make sure that they're not putting all their eggs into one basket. I think Brent Key would probably be a name to watch. There's some other candidates that have been out there mentioned, but Brent Key, would probably be somebody that would be one of the top backup options if Florida needs to go that route.
So just to circle back to where we've been, this timetable, I know what Kiffin said, but I think we all take coaches speak at this time of the year with a certain grain of salt. What is in your best guess is Florida's timetable for Lane Kiffin?
I think it's going to be up to him. If he wanted to make a decision and still continue coaching the team in the playoff, I'm not necessarily sure that Florida would be against that. I just don't know that Ole Miss would want that. So again, I think that we're going to see an answer here probably within the next week or so, leading up to the Egg Bowl, or certainly right afterwards. I don't think that this is going to drag out much longer. Look, Lane Kiffin in Florida, this has been a pairing that people have talked about for years. Dan Mullen even recommended Lane Kiffin to replace him. We've heard that he had interest in the job back then. We know that he has interest in the job right now. Florida has, like I said, got in front of this, but they are going to have to get to a point where just like Ole Miss, they're going to want an answer as well.
Okay, Jack, thank you very much. Appreciate it. The latest on Lane Kiffin. There's still a football season going on, but it seems like it's all about Kiffin.
You want this, you got that. No way, watch them walk right past you. Run fast while you have the chance. Don't speak, let them